Power Rangers Ninja Storm started back in February of 2003 and ended in its November. It was based on the Super Sentai series Ninpu Sentai Hurricaneger. Hopefully I didn't butcher that horrifically. With the exception being that it was a comedic take on the Power Rangers. Like with the Witch series, the Rangers will be grouped by their overall costume design, and those designs will be covered before the individual Rangers. The first Rangers that are revealed are the students of the Wind School, Shane, Tori, and Dustin. The Wind Rangers uniform is characterized by being the least armored of the sets. For good reason. They are arguably the most ninja-like of the bunch. For about as ninja-like as oversaturated primary colors go. I like the metallic mesh that breaks up their arm and makes the lower arm look like armor. For all their helmets, they have a headpiece which represents their respective Zord. Other features include a sword on their back, visors that open up to reveal their head, and morphers on their wrists. Overall, solid pieces of costume design. Okay, first I gotta ask why the Red Ranger is correlated to air. Usually it's with fire. That said, Shane is the Red Ranger of the group. As the designated leader, he's generally the second most level-headed of the group. Sure, he can be rash as per his designated Ranger archetype, but he's otherwise a passable leader. His Zord and overall motif is the Phoenix, which probably is the least jarring of the Zords as far as the stock footage is concerned. It's just disguised as a plane. It's alright. I'm giving Shane a B-. Tori. 10 guesses what element she is. Character-wise, she usually tries to rein in the antics of the other two boys of the team. She also winds up having a crush on the Thunder Ranger, Blake. Her Zord is a mixed bag. Sure, giving her an aquatic animal is thematically consistent, but I just wonder how the heck it gets around on land. They never actually show it getting around on land, they just show water splashing around. Tori's a B- as well. Dustin, despite being the Earth Ranger, is not the most level-headed of the group at all. If anything, he's a bit of an airhead. While he may not be the sharpest tool in the shed, he does play off the other two Wind Rangers and Cam very well. His Zord is a lot more reasonable, what with being a mechanical lion, though you can tell by the city and the stock footage that it was placed in Japan. Have I watched that much anime that I can easily identify modern Japanese architecture? Anyways, like the other Wind Rangers, Dustin's a B-. The Thunder Rangers are a pair of students taught in a completely different ninja school. Their master was killed by Lothor, and he managed to trick them into thinking that the Wind School's master was the one who killed him. But we're not here for the plot summary, we're here to critique their outfits. Their uniforms are similar to the Wind Rangers, but beefed up a bit. Their helmets have their respective bug antlers on them, and their visors are shaped a little differently. Plus they have more armor in their suits, mainly knee pads, gauntlets, and their pauldrons. It should also be noted that their outfits use darker colors. After all, they are the Crimson and Navy Rangers. This choice in colors reflects their more antagonistic nature in the early parts of the season. Their two Zords are also Beetles, which actually have live-action stock footage. They also combine into their own Megazord, complete with a Stack Beetle helmet. The Crimson Ranger, Hunter, is the more aggressive of the two brothers. While he plays off of Blake well, he leaves a lot to be desired in his characterization. The most interesting thing that ever happened to him was when Blake had to break him out of Chubo's mind control. Aside from that, he just butts heads with Shane from time to time. Aside from that, he's really a B if only for his Thunder Ranger outfit. Blake is the Navy Ranger and the slightly more interesting one of the two. He's more friendly and diplomatic than Hunter, being the first to break out of Chubo's mind control. Of course, he chalks it up to his infatuation with Tori. This dynamic between him and her is probably the most interesting thing about him. It's kind of disappointing that they don't get much more development after they join the team. Blake is a B+ due to being slightly more developed than his brother. Cam, or Cameron, is Sensei Watanabe's son, and boy does he get some long-term development. You see, he's the obligatory 6th Ranger of the team. which means he gets the most detailed suit and joins the team 2/3 into the season. Well, sort of. First things first, let's talk about that suit. The Green Ranger is equipped with some body armor and a side-holstered sword. This is due to him being a samurai ranger instead of a ninja. The helmet is also significantly different from the other ninja rangers as well. On top of that, the helmet can change, and he can take off the armor plating to up his agility. As for his sword, well, it's a helicopter that turns into its own Megazord. Of course, the 6th Ranger gets the best stuff. Of course, then there's his characterization, which is, my goodness, season long almost. First, he just starts out as the tech guy. Occasionally, he does get into the action, but it's usually in very, very crucial and extreme circumstances. However, it comes to a head when he has to rescue the rest of the Rangers. In order to do so, he has to travel back in time and get his mother's pendant, because apparently that's what is required for him to become the Samurai Ranger. It's a little bit more complicated than that, but that's it in a nutshell. Cam has a lot of stuff going for him, so I'd say he gets an A+. He's actually probably the most compelling character of the bunch. Speaking of the Watanabe family, let's talk about the guinea pig in the room. I'm not gonna sugarcoat this. Of all the CG in the show, this is the least convincing. Shading's just awful, and good lord, look at the animation. It doesn't look like a freaking guinea pig person, it looks like an awful animatronic. Appearances aside, he does fill his role as a mentor well, often having the advice that the team needs to win. What's more is that he is, of course, key in Cameron's character growth into the Samurai Ranger. Then there's also his relation to the main villain, which we will get into later. Aside from that, he does have a costume change in that he has an original human self, along with his younger self that Cam visits through the use of the time scroll that I mentioned before. Overall, Sensei gets a C+, because my goodness is that CG bad! Lothor's army is massive, and full of so many unique aliens that it would probably take more videos than necessary for this series, so we're just going to cut it down to the ones that I found to be a lot more notable. First off, let's just start off with the Kalzaks, who are the rank-and-file troops, the cannon fodder of Lothor's army. They're simple and distinct, mainly outfitted in the classic colors of Sinister Black and Mad Red. The cord along their limbs resemble the patterns on the Ranger suits, implying that they are ninjas in some fashion. But the loose tassels on their heads make them look a bit silly, which is fine, they're minions. As for their characterization, well, they're minions. It's not like they could support a movie or something. That would be ridiculous. The Kalzaks are a C, but they're not that special. Next is Lothor's nieces, Mara and Capri, who will be scored together because in all honesty, they're kind of inseparable. The two of them have simple visual aspects despite their garish outfits. Capri has a pink, black, and red accented color scheme, while Mara has a purple, red, and black scheme. Slightly different, but similar. The main difference between the two are the motifs on their headpieces. Capri having a snake design, while Mara has a fly headpiece with wings. The two of them are recurring adversaries for the Rangers, usually employing weird antics like fake photo shoots and even a talent show to pick the monster of the day. Naturally, they have a load of disguises, but I do want to show off the fact that they wind up becoming Wind Ninja students at the end, mostly due to a change of heart or something. The two of them get a B. Oh man, this guy's hilarious. Zurgane here is Lothor's general. As you can see, he's your no-nonsense lackey that takes his job super seriously despite being horrendously inept. That said, he looks pretty cool. He's got a nice black and gold samurai look to him, and I like the fact that his pauldrons are sheaths for his swords. Also, this guy is such a jobber that he has a Zord that gets 3 upgrades through the course of the series. Talk about getting shown up all the time. I'll give him a B. Behold, the dunce of the team. Chubo is probably the least intelligent among Lothor's generals. He was a general at one point, yet he can also be the most dangerous when given the chance. Kinda reminds me of someone. Regardless, just look at him. He's ridiculous. perfect for comic relief, B+. Finally, we have the man himself, Loth. I do love an over-the-top villain. Boy, does he deliver. Not only does he have hamtastic acting, but his outfit absolutely goes with it. He also roasts his lackeys when they fail, yet he's fair enough to give them the chance to prove themselves. He also mainly evokes Snoke syndrome by being strong enough to take on the Rangers. Plus the fact that having his minions get killed is actually his plan to overload the afterlife, so he can have an even stronger army to go in to defeat the Rangers once and for all. Of course he doesn't succeed, but you know, still a good plan. As for his variants, we have, of course, his flashback self back when Cam used the Scroll of Time, because I'm not going to stop bringing that up, and his Megazord, because we needed that for the final battle. Lothor stands above the crowd as an absurdly comedic villain that is really refreshing, especially among the Power Rangers. I give him an A+. Ninja Storm may have been a more comedic take on the Power Rangers formula, but it still kept what brought fans into the series. Mostly the action, which you kinda need for Power Rangers, unlike certain shows that don't even bother having that. So yeah, I'd recommend it if you want that sweet, sweet early 2000s cheese. Next time on Design Dungeon.
All I got out of that was woof 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 and woof.